Hello lovely people, welcome to the April vlog. There will be no March vlog because I think I started filming halfway through March, which was already just like, okay, this is not going great. And then I just had a really shit time. We call it the mental health, right? So yeah, life is not lifing. I was just like but she's feeling much better, you know. Did all the things that they say one should do, and you know, I had some time off work and all of that to just really not make things worse, because like it just felt pretty awful, right? But we're back, we're feeling absolutely, I was gonna say fabulous, and we're feeling better, like it's good. So yeah, but because that also happened in March, it just meant it was not going to happen. I'm eating this, one of my friends has started like a dessert business and dropped off some desserts yesterday, and look at how cute this little container is. This is like some sort of chocolate brownie one. It's absolutely delicious. Okay, I just finished scoffing that down, so I'm gonna hope that there's no chocolate on my face. But yeah, so we are at the 6th of June today. I just finished filming a video about the Gelac Prize. So far this month I have read 2 books, so I finished an audiobook maybe just like right at the beginning of the month, which was Murder is Easy by, of course, you know, who else could it be, the Queen of Crime, Agatha Christie. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad I did, because I was introduced to Agatha Christie through Poirot, and then I've read a bit of Miss Marple, which some I have enjoyed, but I've read some of the other ones from that are kind of maybe standalones, or you know, Tommy and Tuppence, Mysterious Mr. Quinn and stuff like that. But these ones are kind of standalones. They're grouped together very loosely, I would say, as the sort of Superintendent Battle series, because he's like the kind of like, I guess, series character running through this. But he comes in very late. It's more about the main kind of sleuth, amateur sleuth, and it's always like a different person each time, which is very nice. And I really enjoyed this. It very much hammers home the importance of listening to the things people say and not just assuming. Because had we not assumed one thing, and plus to be fair, like I remember thinking, I don't think she specified, but yeah, had our main character not assumed one thing, perhaps they would have got to the conclusion sooner. But it is the woman who ends up being like, just repeat that again for me, just so I can understand exactly like what was said, which I found quite funny, because I'm like, actually, at least with me anyway, but people's memories of what was actually said can differ, and obviously they can just misremember. But this is a book, but I thought it was a really, really good book. It's really, really enjoyable, and it didn't seem impossible. So yeah. That said, I also read The Potting Shed Murder last month. I was going to say last year, last month, and it is by Paula Sutton. If I've got that wrong, I'll put the cover up on the screen so you'll see her name anyway. But she is the Hill House vintage woman. And she has written a murder mystery. It was so good, guys. It was so good. It was funny. It was clever. It is cozy. It's brilliant. A South London protagonist who moves to, I don't say it's like Norfolk or something. All these English villages just sound the same to me when you set a murder mystery in them, to be honest. But it feels like really modern day and present, while still having like the charm of kind of being maybe a couple of years back, say a couple, maybe like 30 years back. Very well put together. I think sometimes that's the bit that falls with like modern day kind of mysteries, that you're just a bit like, no. But I didn't find that there were any plot holes for me in this one, or just things that was just like, that, no, like you could have weaved that together better. I thought it was really good. It was really funny, and I actually got clued into who it was because I was listening to another maybe Agatha Christie at the time. No, I've been rewatching the Poirots, and it's something that Ariadne Oliver says about someone, like I don't want to say this because it will ruin it for you if you do read the book, and she's like, but it's always them, isn't it? And then I was reading a bit and I was like, I know who it is, and then it turned to the chapter where it basically the protagonist also finds out who it is, and I was like, that is so funny, because it's not always them, but in this particular book it was. So just a nice moment of synchronicity. I also today finished reading Only Big Bum Bums Matter Tomorrow, and it is, I should forgot her name now, but it's by the author who wrote All the Men, like Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad. Such a good book. I didn't talk about only like Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad because I read it when I was on holiday last year. But I read that and I was like, she is an amazing writer. I'm so sad I hadn't read this before, and then I saw that this was coming out by her, so, and it came up as a NetGalley thing, so I requested it. She's such a good writer, guys. Like, I just feel like she has the perfect blend of like literary, but writing for the diaspora, but also including, you know, what aunties, mothers' lives were like growing up in the countries that they're from. In this one, she's specifically talking about Nigeria, and there's just so much in it that's just so funny about just like Nigerian culture. I'm Ghanaian, but you know, we kind of all grow up around each other, so it can also be very heavily influenced. But you know, you just know these things, and it's just the book felt really comforting. It was really funny. It dealt with so many like different issues. And yeah, just it was it was a really warm book, but I also could just see her literary brilliance, you know. So yeah, those are the 2 books that I've read so far this month. Hello guys, I am trying to decide on my next read. I'm filming this and today is the day of the eclipse. There is so much that I do believe in, but sometimes it's so hard to keep up with astrology. So I know there's meant to be like some sort of energies around. I just couldn't sleep very well last night, but sometimes that happens and I can't really just blame it on the stars and the moon, you know? But I'm actually doing something really exciting this evening, and I'm attending an online, it's actually a 3-day course, but sadly I can't go the next 2 nights, but it is for circle holding. So if you don't know what circle holding, actually, because I went to a circle on Saturday, there is a bit, you would have just seen a clip of, it's a very pretty kind of like altar. But yeah, so circle is just kind of coming to a circle. It's, you know, it can be a mixed circle. The ones I've been to, actually no, the one I went to was a mixed circle, and it is just where people come and share and talk about themselves. So it's not like therapy, but it kind of can be like therapy, but it's not a replacement definitely for therapy. But it is a place to be like seen and heard, and just to be able to like speak your thoughts. And the one I went to, you know, it accompanied other things. There was like sound healing and things like that, and it was very, very beautiful. But this is about kind of facilitating circles, and I think the woman actually does, well, I know she actually does like training courses on them and stuff like that. I actually heard about her through my friend, and then I saw she was doing this 3-day kind of circle immersive, and I was just like, yes. Because it's so funny, like a couple of days ago, one of my friends as well, like, you know, he was talking about something, and I kind of, you know, was like, don't downplay it or whatever, you know, just kind of, it was like, you know, that kind of thing is stressful, and just maybe kind of like summarize like how he might be feeling. And he was like, I always say this all the time, like, you should be a therapist. And I'm telling you guys now, I always say this to people, listen, I can't listen to people's problems all day. I'm not gonna lie. I cannot listen to people's problems all day. You cannot pay me to do that. So yeah, so I'm going to do that, which I think is kind of just a bit adjacent, because it is about like holding space for people and things like that, which I do think I'm very good at. I also have realised I'm really good at things like that, but I also don't like suffer fools gladly. Like I just, when people sometimes come to me with things that I'm just like, but you can fix that, like if you just didn't have a bad attitude, you know. I am sometimes like, so sometimes I just don't suffer fools gladly. Anyway, let's talk about the stack of books I have from the library, which I've had for a while. I am just deciding on what to read. So look, yeah, Night Bloom. Do you know what, this just made me realise I haven't finished editing the video about the Gillette Prize. But Night Bloom has been longlisted on the Women's Prize for Fiction, and in the Gillette Prize video I spoke about the fact that I wasn't bothering to read the Women's Prize for Fiction, but this did sound really good to me, and I actually have read a book, His Only Wife, by this author. I didn't really enjoy it, it was a NetGalley arc, but Night Bloom sounds really good, so I'm willing to give that a shot. I've had this book out from the library for so long, but I'm actually in the mood for a fiction book. Well, not in the mood, I'm looking at the moment for a fiction book because I'm already reading a non-fiction, so discard this for now. This, I really want to read this, but this is the third in the Genesis series, is that how you pronounce it? I'm actually not sure if I'm remembering the name right, but I also don't know if I can pronounce it. Anyway, this is the third in it, and I'm looking for I have the second one reserved. I think I will probably be able to pick it up tomorrow, knowing my luck. This is a non-fiction, I believe, by Deborah Levy. So I'm sure I was speaking to someone about this recently. It might have been Margaret. But I think this is actually kind of part of, yeah, the first volume of her memoirs and writing, but this is, I think, is the second one. So, no, Carla, I actually started reading this and then it was due back at the library and I was like, I'm not loving it that much, I'm just gonna like give it back, so that someone who's dying to read it can read it, you know, quicker than I will. I'm not too keen to get to this, and plus I want something that I can take on the train tomorrow and I just don't want a big chunky hardback. Another one from the Women's Prize for Fiction, I think, no, because I didn't end up putting that video up, you wouldn't have heard me say this, but I actually I actually have a free copy of one of Anne Enright's books, The Gathering, which we were given during our like first year of masters, or at least my first year for me, because she came and did a talk there. I still have not read that book, but this sounded really interesting. I think this is like about a family. Yeah, this sounds absolutely delightful, and for a hardback, actually it's not too chunky, so I might read this. The next one on this is this. I'm trying to remember if this was part of the article that I was, you know, that I feel like I've spoken about so much, but I think this is like the last book out of the ones that I wanted to read. I think it's from there. Otherwise, it might have come from like one of the recommendations on the library's front page. I am not too sure. So this, really I was thinking it would be this or Consent, because it is also quite small. This mainly because it's a paperback, but this because it was slim. And this is Consent. This was longlisted for the Women's Prize in 2021, and it is about two sisters, and I believe something happens to one of the sisters. Oh no, the mum dies. But I think one of the sisters needs full-time care, and it's about gradually Sarah and Saskia learn that both their sisters' lives, and indeed their own, have been altered by the devastating actions of one man. So yeah, this is about two sisters, I thought, but it's actually about, I guess, 4 sisters? Saskia and Jenny are twins, right? And then Sarah and Matty are sisters. I don't know, right? I'm just trying to decide which one I'm going to read. So actually, talking about all of them has given me kind of food for thought. Maybe what I'll do, and this is something that I don't ever really do, but it's just kind of like, because I'm not really sure which ones I should read, and I see Mercedes say this sometimes, is read the first chapter of each one, and then I can decide which one I will start. But they all sound really good to me. I feel like Consent might remind me a little bit of, oh god, I forgot the name of it. I'll put the book cover here, which ended up being such a surprising, no, it's like Sorry You Feel That Way, yeah. Such a surprising book for me, because I honestly would not have picked it up. I just thought it was just like too much of a popular fiction book for me. But the way in which the author wrote about like families and like relationships with mothers, it was so deep, and I was just like completely blown away. And I feel like this might be like a bit like that, but this deals with, like, I think it says the fact that their lives have been altered by the devastating action of one man. So I don't know, but yeah, so that's where we are. We've got library reads, and yeah, I'm gonna go and read them and make some dinner before this thing starts. Hello lovely people, good morning. Yes, it is still morning. It is about 9:45. So I'd update you on 2 book situation. I don't even know what the filming angle is. Like I said, half of the battle of filming vlogs is just like finding an angle to film, especially when you've just like moved. So welcome to my washing. So the first book I'm going to talk about is The Wren by Anne Enright. This is longlisted on the Women's Prize for Fiction. They announced a shortlist, yeah, I have no idea. It's not really a prize I'm participating in reading this year. I thought I'd pick this up because I thought this sounded really good. The blurbing for this is excellent, but the actual execution for me it's not what I like. So I think I got to page 75 and just decided to DNF this because I was like, it's not for me. The book starts off from the perspective of a character called Nell, and in the blurb it says here, Carmel has been alone all her life. The baby knew this. They looked at each other and all of time is there. Goes on a little bit. Carmel's daughter Nell, funny, brave and so much loved as a young woman with adventure on her mind. As she sets out into the world, she finds her family history hard to escape. And then the bit that really got me about this book and the blabbing was, it says, this is a meditation on love, spiritual, romantic, darkly sexual and genetic, a generational saga that traces the inheritance not just of trauma but of wonder. It is a testament to the glorious resilience of women in the face of promises false and true. So from Nell's perspective, we are dealing with her as she moves out of her mother's home and just kind of like, you know, into, I guess, I think she's about 22 to her early 20s, and just kind of like establishing herself as a writer, and then kind of like relationships, and a lot of it is about this guy where it's just like he's just not worth it, you know. But that was just like very uninteresting for me to read. And then we go on to the perspective of Carmel, so when she is a child, and kind of like what life was like growing up for her. I would say because this book feels quite abstract, the way it's written, it feels quite abstract. It just makes you feel very detached from the characters. And then for me, when you have to have this kind of like detachment for the characters, I'm like, well, what's the point? Because I'm not like kind of like vibing with them emotionally, you know. I hate how like casual I sounded saying that, not vibing with them emotionally. So yeah, I just don't like that level of detachment in books, because if we're supposed to have that level of detachment, it just makes me think, what's the point in reading this? I want to read my books and be like emotionally invested. So yeah, I think the writing style is not for me. I read a couple of reviews about this just to see like what other people's thoughts were, and I think even for people who, you know, like Anne Enright's writing, I think even they found this a bit like too abstract. So yeah, not mad about putting this down. And then a book I finished yesterday is this. So I probably finished this in like 24 hours, and this is called Local Missing Woman. I gave this 2 stars. This book was just so dumb. In the end, it ends up getting so silly. It says here, when a local mother and her 6-year-old daughter Delilah suddenly vanish, their close-knit suburban community is rocked by fear and suspicion. How could such a terrible thing have happened in their small town? Then 11 years later, Delilah shockingly reappears. Everyone wants to know what really happened to her. So, a woman and her daughter disappear. And then about 2 weeks before that, because it's the opening paragraph in this book as well, another woman goes out for a run and doesn't come back. So the community is rocked by kind of, you know, at first what they think are 2 disappearances, and then later they find out what these disappearances are, right? So it's told from the perspective of like the sort of the past and the now. And we get the perspective of Delilah, this character who is, you know, detailing what her time has been like, someone who's been in like captivity for like 10 years. And as you know, she escapes. No, you know, she returns to the town. And then we're also getting the perspectives of a woman called Meredith from the past, who is Delilah's mum. We're getting the perspective of a character called Kate, who is one of the neighbours in the area. And is that who? Oh, we're getting the perspective of a boy called Leo, who is Delilah's brother. As with these thrillers, there's no more I can say without ruining the book for you. What I will say is this book, they went wild in just some of the way the story was done, because when you think about some of the things, like if a body is found and like what the police might have missed, you're like, I don't really see how the police would have missed something like so obvious, considering it's like the cause of the death, right? And then just all these other little bits, and then like the end of the book. What I don't understand about this book is it spends a lot of time talking about, you know, the return of Delilah and the trauma that she would have, you know, faced, and kind of integrating her back into society. At the end, I feel like everything is wrapped in a neat bow with being like, and then she was able to assimilate into life with her brother, and you're just like, I'm sorry, what? No one who's held in captivity for that amount of time is just going to be able to slip back into normal life. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I can't really go any deeper into that because it will reveal some of the plot. One thing I will say about this book, and I'm glad, like, when I read some reviews of it, other people said, I remember reading a part of this book where I think it just takes from the author kind of like the doorbell rings, and I kid you not, it takes like a whole page and a half before she actually goes to answer the door, because in between that the author is spending all this time discussing like so many things, and I'm just like, whoa, like we just don't need this level of detail or just to be sidetracked into something completely different. A lot of this book feels like it's just filled with these random thoughts that people are having, which we all have these random thoughts. But for the sake of the book, let's slim it down. Because if a character is is hearing a bell on page 5, I don't need them to then be opening the door on page 7. No, on page 8, you know, or page 7. That still works. So yeah, And some of the writing just feels so silly. Like, there's a bit where she's talking about the woman's birthday. She's like, it's Bia's birthday today. It's her 30th birthday. We are celebrating Bia's birthday. And you're just like, yeah, but we know, because you said that in the first sentence. Why are there 2 subsequent sentences explaining the exact same goddamn thing? Like, join them. So yeah, I thought the writing was really odd. It was a very odd book, I'm not gonna lie. Some of the choices people made, wild, but you know, when you're under the influence and you're under stress, maybe these are the choices you would make. Not my favourite. But yes, I'm currently reading another book at the moment, but it's in my bag. I'm on my way to the museum, the People's Palace Museum in Glasgow. I've never been, but it's closed for refurbishment as of tomorrow for probably a couple of years. So I thought I'd take myself there and see what it's like, and yeah, nice way to spend a Sunday. So I've just finished filming a clip for the Gillette Prize vlog that I'm doing. So you will see me talk about this wonderful, wonderful book, which I've given 5 stars. Absolutely, absolutely stunning. I just want to read it again. It's so, so beautiful. Maybe if this vlog isn't too long, I'll include bits of me reading some bits out from this book. But yesterday I also finished How to Do the Work, which is by that psychologist who posts those really annoying videos. I'm sorry, those really annoying videos on like TikTok, or where like she's like a child and she's talking to her parent. I absolutely do not like them. You know, it's so funny with these things, because sometimes, you know, when you don't like things, you know, it's most of the time it's cool to see like why you don't like it, if you find it cringe, why you don't like it. And I'm like, listen, it's not everything that you can explore like that. Some things I'm just like, I don't like it, but her book is really, really good. I will say that I really enjoyed the book. I think it's called How to Do the Work. And yeah, I think as I kind of like get more into like these kind of practices and stuff, people talking about the work makes sense to me. But I know before, when I was on the other side, I was like, what the hell are these people talking about? So sometimes, like, when I am listening to it, I'm like, yeah, I can like see how much has changed for me in the sense of how much I understand of what they're talking about. Other times I'm like, Jesus, if you're just like new to the industry, you must just be like, what work are they talking about? But I'm really glad that I kind of had the program that I started doing that really kind of introduced me into all these kind of concepts of like inner child, shadow work, and, you know, actually taking me through them. That book has a lot of journal prompts, which is quite good. But I always found that with books that had like extracurricular, I didn't want to do any of that. I just wanted the healing to come. But we're in a different place now. But I thought it was a really good book and I would recommend it. So I ordered a bunch of books from work because I can get 70% off, and they were really Spanish resources. But as part of it, I was like, the last time I'd ordered was probably in 2023, which is crazy considering, you know, I get 70% off. But last time I'd ordered, I was in my bag of like this series, so I was like, let me just buy one of these to see what it's like. So after open water, I was like, let me have a little palette cleanser or something like nice and easy. And this is just what I needed. I forgot how like enjoyable the series is, and just it's about Daisy and Alec, and Daisy is a kind of amateur sleuth, and Alec is an actual superintendent. What is he? Detective, chief inspector, and they have just gotten married, so they've had their honeymoon, but they're now kind of having this other second honeymoon due to other things, and they're on a boat. Listen, it makes you never want to get on any kind of ship. Sorry, they're on a ship, because the things that be happening, I'm like, listen, it's not for me. That open water and all the things happening, it's not for me. But yes, as usual, there is some funny things going on. There is obviously murders going on. There's obviously crime going on, and it's about kind of how do we figure out who is the murderer here. But also everyone is down with seasickness, so it sounds absolutely awful. But it is a really nice light read, and just a really nice like palette cleanser. You know, I don't mean that in a kind of disparaging way or anything like that. I think it's really like nice, easy entertainment. But I think, you know, once you read something like Open Water, which is quite deep, and really like, really involves you, it's quite nice to read something kind of just like easy and simple, and that's what this is. But yeah, so I'm very much aware that tomorrow is the end of April, so I'm going to wrap up this vlog here. But thank you so much for watching this April vlog, and I'll catch you in another one, which will be the May vlog. Bye!